Offensive lineman Sam Pendleton is a Vol, and Tim Banks. We know the financials of his contract extension. Did Tennessee overpay to get either one of these guys? That and more at your Monday Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols. I'm your host, Eric Kane. Happy to have you guys along for the ride for a brand new week of shows. We do it every single weekday morning right here, wherever you get your podcast. Appreciate you every dayers making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch. And a big thanks to FanDuel Sportsbook for being a part of the show. Super Bowl 59, it is here. No better place to make every play more exciting than over at FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and you're going to win. You'll score, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. You can download the app today or head on over to FanDuel.com to go ahead and get started. Sam Pendleton committed to Tennessee out of the transfer portal. Tim Banks, the financials of his new 3-year contract extension were announced on Friday. And simple question, did Tennessee overpay for either one of those guys? That's coming up here in a matter of moments. Junior Day highlights, another Junior Day on campus for Tennessee. Who were some of the highly touted prospects who were on campus, and what did they have to say about the University of Tennessee? All that and more in segment 2. And then, we'll talk about it, man. Tennessee so close at number 1 Auburn. What went wrong there in the final 90 seconds or so? That and more at your Monday Locked On Vols. Every day is tomorrow's your show, mailbag edition of the show. Please send in your questions, comments, concerns at Locked On Vols @_Kaner, and of course on the YouTube and Instagram page. So we talked about who Sam Pendleton was and what he could mean for this offensive line, kind of going into his official visit on Thursday, and he went in the transfer portal with the no contact tag on him, which meant he had to reach out to schools. He said in an interview with VolQuest.com that Tennessee was the first team that he reached out to, scheduled a visit, came in, visited, committed on the spot. I don't think he even left town, as spring semester, of course, has already started with classes beginning last Tuesday. So, this is good for Tennessee. And again, if you missed, I guess it was Friday's show, if you missed Friday's show, a brief little synopsis on who the transfer portal offensive lineman from Notre Dame, Sam Pendleton is. Well, Tennessee was in it, out of the high school ranks. He's a offensive lineman prospect from the class of 2023. He redshirted in Notre Dame last year. He played this year for Notre Dame, starting the first 7 games of the season, and then some players came back from injury. He was regulated to the bench, where he backed up both left guard and right guard the rest of the way. He played 34 second-half snaps at right guard in Notre Dame's college football playoff first-round win over Indiana. So there's that, and of course he joins a group of 4 now additions from the transfer portal, and Wendell Moy, Amari Jefferson, and of course Star Thomas. So again, Tennessee needed help on the offensive line, went out, got the transfer portal commitment from former Arizona and Pac-12 offensive lineman, or second-team all-conference offensive lineman in 2023, Wendell Moy. And you think that he's going to come in, he's got the most experience at guard, and think that he's going to slide in there and play one of the guard spots. Well, Andre Carrick, of course, is still looking for eligibility, still trying to win an appeal from the NCAA for a 5th year of eligibility. And, you just have to assume that you can't count on him. And that's no disrespect to him, but, football goes on, and so you need to be prepared. And this is Tennessee being prepared, right? Sam Pendleton coming over from Notre Dame. He was graded out at 63.2 at Pro Football Focus, over 492 offensive snaps this year. He allowed no sacks, 6 pressures, 3 quarterback hits, but again, no sacks as a redshirt freshman this past year. He played on offense on 15 snaps as a true redshirt back in 2023. Again, he chose Notre Dame over Tennessee and several other programs back when he was a prospect. He was considered the number 431st prospect in the class, the number 34 interior offensive lineman, number 16 player out of the Tar Heel States, where he attended high school. And this is what he said, after visiting Tennessee in 2022. He raved about Glenn Ellerbe. And actually he had I got to pull it up right here. He had a quote to VolQuest.com whenever he committed over the weekend or on Friday. And again, he was raving about Glenn Ellerbe. Let's see if I can find that. Doesn't look like I can find that, which is really frustrating. But nonetheless, he had a lot of good things to say. Oh, there it is. Okay. Here's the quote honestly, growing up in the South, you watch SEC football on Saturday and you see the Vols playing. It's just something when you see those Neyland fireworks go off and see just how electric the stadium is when they're playing ball. It's just something everyone dreams about. Okay, so that was not the quote that I was looking for. But nonetheless, that's a good quote on Tennessee. He was raved about Glenn Ellerbe and kind of his relationships dating back to the recruiting days and all that. So a good get for Tennessee. Is this an all-conference get? I don't know. Probably not. We'll see. He's a young player. 3 years of eligibility remaining. And, between him and Moy, can either one of those guys play center? Potentially if Andre Carrick becomes available and he gets that extra year of eligibility, or if Sham Umarov comes along in spring practice, maybe one of those three guys can play center, and maybe that's Tennessee's best starting five. But for right now, I think that you assume that Pendleton's a guard, that Moy is a guard, and that at least for right now that Satterwhite's your starting center. Still with the projection, Lance Hurd at left tackle, David Sanders at right tackle. We'll see how this offensive line comes together and gels, but I think this was important because, before Tennessee got the commitment of Sam Pendleton, you were relying on somebody else of a Sham, of an Aiden Bussell, of a Max Anderson, of a Jesse Perry, of a Gage Ginther, somebody to step up. And that's not a bad thing, but this just adds another body into the frame and a guy that's played a whole lot of football at a high level and, played a part of the college football playoffs this past year. So Tennessee needed an offensive lineman. I think, with Josh Thompson, who ended up signing with LSU, the offensive guard from Northwestern, Tennessee wasn't going to overpay. Okay, it's still a business. Tennessee elected to pass on that. Liked him a lot, but passed on that. So it doesn't feel like Tennessee broke the bank with Pendleton. And I think this is a job that needed to get done. So good on Tennessee for getting this done. I'm intrigued to kind of see how all these pieces come together in spring practice for sure. The other news of the day on Friday was, VolQuest reported, and I think Beat Thamel was on it, and some others that, or Chris Lowe, whoever it was, that wasn't, whichever national guy it was, I think it was Chris Lowe, that Tim Banks, of course, was, going to come back and sign a new deal with Tennessee. His contract expiration date was the end of January. Same with Willie Martinez. Same with Mike Eckler. At this time, it doesn't feel like any changes are going to be on Tennessee's coaching staff. We'll see how NFL coaching staffs take shape over the next month or so, but if anybody else can get a call up, like maybe Jerry Mack last year, of course, and how all that transpires. But it was reported a week ago, and we talked about it on the show, that it looked like Tim Banks is coming back, and Tim Banks is going to be Tennessee's defensive coordinator moving on. What we didn't know was, what were the financials? Okay, what were the terms? Well, that was released on Friday, and VolQuest, Brent Hubbs, I believe was the first one out there. 3-year deal, okay, $2.1 million annually beginning in 2025. Remember, he made $1.5 million annually from 2021, 22, 23, and 24. This is starting in 25. This will be 2.1 annually. And a lot of you guys are probably going to say, man, you are breaking the bank. That is a whole lot of money. Well, Jim Knowles, okay, and Jim Knowles is a better defensive coordinator throughout this career. To this point, Tim Banks is still, fairly young, but Jim Knowles is good, okay? But he just got hired away from Ohio State after leading the Buckeyes to a national championship on the defensive side for $3.1 million annually to go coach in Happy Valley. Oh my goodness. That is so much money. So if you think 2.1 is outrageous, just remember, your team, who hadn't won the big one yet, right? Against Ohio State, who hasn't won the Big Ten, is a good team and was in the college football playoff this year, much like Tennessee was. But your team that still can't beat its rival in Ohio State, or go and win the big one, or go win the conference, is paying an assistant coach $3.1 million annually. That is astronomically high, right? But again, I talked about this, a couple of weeks ago. I think Tim Banks is very underrated. I understand frustration from fans. The two biggest games of the year, it's like Tennessee's defense didn't show up, and Tennessee's entire team at Ohio State didn't show up. It wasn't just the defense. And that's got to be fixed. You got to take another layer. You got to take another step, because Tennessee's defense, statistically, the best defense Tennessee's had in 20 years this past year. Over 100 TFLs. Not a whole lot of sacks, but pressured the quarterback an awful lot. Top 10 in stopping the run. Really good in red zone defense. Really good. One of the nation leaders in third and fourth down defense. Tim Banks' group took a step this year. And if you wanted to say goodbye to Tim Banks, where were you going to go? It's not like you're going to go get Jim Knowles unless you want to pay over $3 million. It's not like you're going to get some of these other defensive coordinators, because they were going to ask for more than what Tim Banks was making on his last contract. So sure, is he perfect? No. Is there an extra gear to get going? Absolutely. Does Tennessee need to make some adjustments? I thought they made a ton of adjustments this past year, rotating in the secondary. Of course, we know they're going to rotate up front, rotating in the middle layer, playing more guys. I thought Tennessee did a great job in that respect. I think from a schematic and a play calling perspective, in-game adjustments need to get better. But my advice would be, and this is just my opinion, and take it for what it's worth, certainly not trying to talk down on anybody like some of the YouTube comments like to remind me last week, which is I think is hilarious. But Tennessee was really good defensively this year. Very good, especially considering where you've been on that side of the football and in years past. I think Tim Banks has been a pretty good assistant coach here for Tennessee. But he does need to make some adjustments in those big games, and that's got to start this year. So if you're going to start over, who are you going to get? How much was it going to cost you? I think settling with Tim Banks, giving him a raise to 2.1, a 3-year deal, which I think is pretty interesting, to allow him to continue to build on what has already turned into a pretty solid defense over the years. It kept getting better and better, and then he just took a light year of a jump from 24 to 20, or 23 to 24. I'm excited to see kind of where this group is again this time next year, where they are next fall. The roster is significantly better than where it is. Still got to take a step. Hadn't arrived. But the financials were released for Tim Banks, and good for him. I don't think Tennessee did anything it couldn't do. Certainly don't think Tennessee tried to make a run at paying $3.1 million for another highly successful defensive coordinator in the land, because I think that would have been just way, 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 way too much. All right, so Tennessee had a junior day. Who could be some of those next stars on the defensive side of the football? There were a couple in-house for the second junior day in as many weeks. All that's coming up as we continue on, and we'll discuss it on a Locked On Vols in segment number 2 right here on a Monday morning. Stay tuned. Hey, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at TurboTax. This message is from a sponsor and Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back. Okay, it was like that. That's how it was for the longest time. And then waiting, wondering, and worrying some more. Now, taxes, just matching with TurboTax Expert, and it could do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their individual attention as they work on your return, while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. All so you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now, this is taxes. Get an expert now with TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. More coming up next on a Monday Locked On Vols. Hey guys, welcome back into your Monday morning Locked On Vols. Don't forget, mailbag edition of the show that's coming up on tomorrow's show, Tuesday. So send in any questions, comments, concerns, any questions you guys have for me. I'd love to take the time to answer those. Allow you guys to have your voices heard on a Tuesday show. So at _Kaner, DM, tweet me at Locked On Vols. You can find me on Instagram at Locked On Vols. I know the Ohio State fans are continuing to find me on the Instagram page. And, of course, you can comment on the YouTube page as well. Who were some of the big names who were on campus for Tennessee's second junior day? Well, we'll start the conversation with On3 has him as a top 35 overall prospect. The On3 industry rankings has him at number 70, and that is athlete 2026 Joel Wyatt from the Webb School in Tennessee, Bell Buckle, Tennessee. 6'4", 185 pounds. Wide receivers where you're going to find him listed amongst most recruiting sites. I think that he can play some safety as well, some defensive back. I think Tennessee likes him at both, and time will tell exactly if he were to pick Tennessee, where he would kind of fall in there. But he's an athlete, and he's a guy that Tennessee very, very much covets, same as a lot of other programs. But Joel Wyatt, again, 6'4", 185 pounds. He was on campus for Tennessee's junior day over the weekend. On3 is very high on him. Number 35 overall prospect in the country. Number 3 wide receiver. The second-ranked player in the state of Tennessee. 247 has him at number 63 overall. ESPN has him at 88. Rivals has him at 173. So Rivals is the outlier in this conversation. But any way you want to spin it, Joel Wyatt is a guy that Tennessee is heavily in on. Likes him an awful lot. And played linebacker in high school as well. So, again, just an athlete. And it'll be intriguing to see kind of where Tennessee likes him. But he's a take right now. And it's one of those things where if he wants to commit, you just kind of figure it out. But nonetheless, he was on campus this past weekend, kind of acting as that headliner for Tennessee in that regard. Another really, really intriguing prospect, a nice prospect who was on campus for Tennessee, was highly rated 4-star offensive lineman. He's probably going to be a 5-star at some point, in my opinion, if he moves up, which I believe that he will, and John Turntine. 6 foot 3.5, about 304, 305 pounds. The On3 industry rankings has him as the number 16th overall prospect in the country, the number 3 offensive tackle in the country, and the number 1 player out of Texas, where he attends North Crawley High School in Fort Worth. On3 has him at number 15 in the country, 247 at number 17, ESPN at number 35, and Rivals at number 34. So pretty much over the 4 major recruiting sites, all pretty much in unison that he is a top 30 player, top 35 player in all of the country. God spoke about Glenn Ellerbe, talked about Josh Heupel, talked about how it was great being on campus, how he looks forward to coming back again for a spring practice. And that's kind of how this all works, right? You get these guys on campus for a junior day, if you will. Then you try to get them back on campus for a spring practice. And then you parlay that into an official visit, hosting it for an official visit in June. And then if you're lucky, you'll have these guys commit to your school in the months of July and August, early on in the fall as well. So, yeah, John Turntine's one of those guys that are trying to get back. 6'3", 305 pounds, 15th overall prospect in the country, number 4 offensive tackle, number 1 player out of Texas. He was on campus this weekend headlining the offensive lineman. Another guy that Tennessee really, really likes who was on campus, a 4-star defensive lineman, Keshawn Stancil, who was on campus here. 243rd overall player in the country, according to the On3 industry rankings, the number 26 defensive lineman, number 13 from the state of North Carolina, where he attends Clayton High School. 6'3", 260, had a lot of good things to say about Rodney Garner and Coach Chop, who he spent the most of his time with as well here on campus over the weekend. Keshawn Stancil, one of those guys that kind of headlined, again, a top 50 overall prospect. Let's see, he's top 50 On3 industry rankings, number 208th overall, according to 247, and 247 according to Rivals. So he's a guy that will continue to be trying to come back to campus. A couple other ones that I want to highlight. One who picked up an offer from the University of Tennessee, and it's a defensive lineman, 6'5", about 300 pounds, Emmanuel Ruffin from the state of Alabama. And he's a guy that is a fast riser right now. 20 Division I offers. In the last 10 days, he's picked up offers from Texas, Tennessee on Saturday, Alabama, Georgia, Memphis, I believe Texas. I have it written down because I wrote the write-up on him. But he's a guy that's a fast riser. And again, this has all kind of come in this spring evaluation period here in the last, couple of weeks. And came on campus. He was at Tennessee for a game day visit. I believe it was one of those early games back in the fall. I'm not sure which one, but he spoke about how the atmosphere, the game day experience was fantastic at Tennessee. And he said that Texas and Alabama and Tennessee are kind of his top 3 right now, and he's really, really looking forward to getting back and seeing what Tennessee's all about in the spring semester. Places a high emphasis on academics, wants to be a realtor when he's out of school. If maybe that's out of the NFL, maybe that's out of college, whatever the case is. But he places a high emphasis on academics, and enjoyed walking around campus and seeing the academic buildings and, of course, everything that football had to offer. But Tennessee, the latest team to jump in on the Emmanuel Ruffin sweepstakes, an intriguing prospect, defensive lineman, again, a big old body, 6'5", about 300 pounds or so. And I think that he's obviously an interior presence, but I think his athletic ability can have him kind of play the piano down the defensive line, a strong side defensive end, not a Leo, but defensive tackle, nose tackle, whatever technique you want, a shade, a 3, a 4-eye. He's that type of guy. So we'll see when he gets back. He says he's coming back for a spring practice, so that's good. But Tennessee wisely jumps in on Emmanuel Ruffin as the latest target, and he was on campus this past Saturday, picking up an offer from the University of Tennessee. The last prospect I want to highlight that was on campus this weekend, he is a 2027 athlete, wide receiver, defensive back, where he plays safety, and he is from Buford, Georgia, where he attended Buford High School. That name should sound familiar. I want to say, not at the top. Actually, I'm gonna Google it right now because I'm trying to. It will further my point. Jalen Smith, who just transferred away from Tennessee, of course, and signed with Mississippi State. No, okay, he was at Grayson, so never mind. That doesn't further my point. But nonetheless, go back to Hauser. Buford, Georgia. Jaden Perlotti came from Buford, Georgia. Justin Baker came from Buford, Georgia. So 2 early enrollees right now already on campus for the University of Tennessee, who are his former teammates. The Volquest staff was over at the junior day talking to a number of these prospects, caught up with Hauser as well, talk with him, and I've got the write-up that's going to come out at some point this week. But he said he caught up with these guys. He said he hadn't heard a bad thing about Tennessee whatsoever. So my friends who have been here growing up have told me nothing but great things. Perlotti and Baker said they've had nothing to say but good things. Definitely enjoyed the experience today. Can't wait to get back up here to see the game day atmosphere, which is what it'll be like 10 times what it was today for sure. He also, had a chance to catch up with Justin Baker specifically, and he said, quote, he told me just to keep doing what I'm doing. He said, Buford to Tennessee. Buford's getting us prepared right now. He told me that he's jumped straight into, is getting to work. He's told me that he loves it. He feels at home. He said, I really love that for him. Only great things that I hear about Tennessee right now, end quote. So that was what Ethan Hauser had to say about catching up with Justin Baker, his teammate at Buford, who's now an early enrollee here at Tennessee. And, Hauser's interesting. He said that if he had to pick, he would play defense. He's a safety, but, plays wide receiver. He wants teams to recruit him as an athlete. He wants teams to view him as an athlete, a guy that can be a dynamic game changer on both sides of the football. And Tennessee's kind of there right now, but said he had a great time talking with Willie Martinez, great time talking with Kelsey Pope, great time talking with Josh Heupel, and he will for sure be back there. Tennessee offered him a while ago. He's got 12 D1 offers so far. Tennessee was one of the first teams that kind of offered him a little bit a while ago. He was on campus for actually, this was his first time on campus. This is the first time on campus, but he's one to watch in the 2027 cycle. Like his former teammate Justin Baker, he committed to Tennessee a cycle in advance. I'm not saying Hauser's going to do that, but if Tennessee's showing this much interest already, he's certainly one to be paying attention to. And there's that connection there, Buford to Knoxville, Perlotti, Baker, and of course now Ethan Hauser potentially. So there were several other prospects who were on campus, but those were some of the highlights, some of the bigger names. Certainly going to bring on Matt Ray at some point this week, and he'll add some more context to all this. But Tennessee moving right along, right? Moving right along. Recruiting never stops, and couple of junior days, dead periods coming up in February, but it'll get fast and furious again in March when spring practice starts, and we'll have updates for you, all that and more right here at Locked On Vols. What a great start for Tennessee. And the class of 2026, 8 commitments, number 3 nationally, number 1 in the SEC right now. It is early, but it is a really, really good start. Tennessee basketball, what a heartbreaking loss on the Plains Saturday night. What went wrong in the final 90 seconds? That and more coming up next right here on Locked On Vols. Hey guys, I want to tell you about my friends over at FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. 1 game, 2 teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on all that action with live betting. All game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is surely easy, super fun to navigate through. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet, potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, that's just icing on the cake. Download the app today or head on over to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and you can win. You can win. If you win, you can score $200 in bonus bets. That's at FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel. It's an official partner of Super Bowl 59 and is where you can make every single moment more at FanDuel. Tennessee falls on the Plains 53-51, and it was tough, man. It was tough. It was, if you guys listened to the crossover I had, it was a bonus show Friday afternoon with Zach Blackerby over at Locked On Auburn. And I said Tennessee, I didn't think Tennessee was going to win this game. Full disclosure, I thought Tennessee was going to get run out of the gym just because Auburn's playing that well. I thought, even without Broome, I thought Auburn would, at home, would be good enough to handle business because run out of the gym is probably too strong. I didn't think that. But I thought Auburn could win, cover the spread is what I'm trying to say. I thought Auburn could cover the spread, which is like 6.5 or whatever. But I personally didn't think they should have played Broome, but obviously he was fine. And I guess that's a testament to him. He came back in, scored a game high 17 points or whatever it was, and played 33 minutes, didn't start, but he was obviously himself. But I thought even without him, Auburn playing at home, it was going to be tough for Tennessee because you got the number one ranked, offense in the country, not scoring offense, but adjusted efficiency offense per KenPom. And I know Tennessee's so good defensively. And I thought, and I told Zach this, I was like, hey, for Tennessee to keep this game close, for Tennessee to have a chance at the end, Tennessee's got to muck it up. Tennessee's got to make it muddy. Tennessee's got to make it ugly. And before Dalton Knecht and Chaz Lanier and some of these higher profile offensive threats, back before Tennessee started kind of getting those in the last couple of years, and I know Grant Williams is a great offensive threat. That's not what I'm saying. But my point is Tennessee won many games this way, okay? So this is not out of character for Tennessee. And, I was texting back and forth with Zach Blackerby during the game. He's like, man, biggest game of the SEC schedule, and this is what we get. So gross. I'm like, dude, we've seen this story so many different times. And unfortunately, we've seen the ending so many different times. But I thought Tennessee did a great job of making this game ugly, making this game gross, and bringing Auburn, not necessarily bringing it down to your level, because Tennessee's so much better offensively than what it showed on Saturday. Don't get me wrong, but kind of bringing Auburn down to a level where you're comfortable playing. And I thought that's kind of what Tennessee was. Now, again, you see the overall stats in this game. It was so gross on both sides offensively. Tennessee shot 31%, Auburn shot 31%. It's pretty even Stevens, to be honest with you. 3-pointers, Tennessee made 4 of 22, Auburn made 3 of 20. Tennessee had 12 turnovers, Auburn had 11 turnovers. Tennessee had 37 rebounds, Auburn had 41, winning the rebounding battle by 4. Tennessee committed 2 more fouls than Auburn, 18-16. But again, it was both teams that really just could not find rhythm, could not find shots to fall. You could have built a house with all these bricks that were thrown up there. It was frustrating, but Tennessee was playing a way that it could win ball games, because we've seen Tennessee win ball games. And Auburn, many people think Auburn's the best team in the country. It's the number one ranked team in the country. And after Saturday, Auburn has now proven that it can win in a number of different ways. One of the best offenses in the country. Not the other night. Tennessee held Auburn 30 points fewer than its season average offensively in points per game. I thought Tennessee played its tail off. I thought Tennessee had a lot to be proud about. And I understand Tennessee lost that game. And I just don't get, this is my opinion, okay? I'm a sports fan. I grew up watching basketball. I am certainly a football and a baseball guy, but it's not like basketball Spanish to me or a different language to me. Like I can speak it and everything. But I have no issue whatsoever with the final, shot selection. Pulling a screen right there, getting the ball to Zakai Ziegler, a corner 3. It was an open look. It was a good look. If he were to have fallen and maybe flopped a little bit, maybe potentially, but maybe he would have went to the line there. I have no issue with trying to go for the win right there. Okay. The possession before that, Igor not playing with a whole lot of confidence right now, not shooting the basketball very well right now, but the fact that he was driving to the basket, trying to seek out contact and make a play at the rim, I have no issue with that. And Rick Barnes, he spoke on that as well. He was asked about the last couple of possessions there, the final 2 possessions of the game. He said, quote, I think they made a block on Milicic, but again, he was aggressive. He took it in there. And it's a high-level game. Both teams, I thought, played extremely hard both ways. Really not much to, easily on the offensive end. But I'm so proud of our guys. I thought they fought all night long. We went through just a couple of minutes where we didn't quite stick to the details and give them a few baskets that we wouldn't want to give them. But Auburn did it. They executed, and we didn't. But, yeah, I don't have a problem with Igor trying to be aggressive right there. And he was asked about Zakai Ziegler as well. He didn't even comment on that. But, obviously he drew up that play out of a timeout. It was at the half court. And it was a good look. It was a clean look, and the shot just missed. And you know what? That's basketball. That's basketball. I will take my chances with Chaz taking that shot or with Zakai Ziegler taking that shot any day of the week. I have no issues with that. What I do have an issue with is Broome literally traveling on the rebound right there. I mean, what are we doing right? Like, he traveled. You can see it clear as day. Like, he traveled. Should have been a turnover. Tennessee could have got the ball back with 5-ish seconds left, 4-ish seconds left, and then had another chance to put take a shot at the rim. Before I move on, I saw a lot of complaining, and again, you have a loss. It's emotional. I get it. I saw a lot of fans complaining that Tennessee didn't waste enough time. Again, if you have an open shot, take the shot. If you have a good look, you take the look. You know why? Because if you dribble right around, you're forcing a bad shot. You do not get a good look. If you have a clean look, you take that clean look and you try to tie the game or you try to win the game, because if you wait around, you're not going to have that clean look. That's how I view it. I think it's as simple as black and white. I think it's as simple as 1, 2, 3. Draw up a play from the inbound, take the shot if it's clean. Okay, you had guys crashing the boards as well. You had an opportunity to get an offensive board and still have another chance to put a putback up there. Playing for 2 shots instead of 1. I love that play call there at the end. That's just my opinion, but I love that play call there at the end. A really, really, really big turning point in the game. 1:32 left in the ball game, okay? Felix Apara is called for a travel 30-some-odd feet away from the basket. Bad turnover. Rick Barnes said, hey, he traveled, but he was grabbed as well. Quote, I thought he was held. I mean, it's a physical game, and I just don't think from what I saw, I thought Broome had 2 hands on his shoulders and I don't know what he can do. Quote, I thought we should have did a better job getting it in, but Auburn does a really good job in those situations too. So, again, you could see Barnes. He was grabbing. He was mouthing grabbing. He's grabbing. He spiked his water bottle right there, which I thought was hilarious. I mean, Bruce Pearl was doing the same thing. He's grabbing. The officials, for the most part, they missed some things big time. I thought the last 2 to 3 minutes in the game, they missed a couple of big ones, huge big ones. The walk, that play I just referenced right there, directly correlated into the outcome of the game. Now, the Broome walk there at the end, if they called it a walk, it's a turnover. Tennessee gets another look. Who's to say if Tennessee makes that basket? Nobody knows. But that one right there, that's a walk, a turnover, led to points the other way. That was huge. That was huge point in this basketball game, and that should have been a foul. Broome got away with it. It should have been a foul. Now, there were other points in this game. I thought Zakai Ziegler with a little stop and push down, I thought that could have went the other way, okay? There was one with Jemai Meshack. I mean, it totally went in favor of Tennessee where he didn't foul him at all, okay? So, there was some give and take. I thought the whistle favored Tennessee more in the second half until the final couple of minutes of the game where I thought they missed some big ones. So, again, there's never going to be a perfect officiating football game. There's never going to be a perfect balls and strikes game for a home plate umpire. There's never going to be a perfect officiating basketball game. You can't blame the game on the officials, but I did think that there were some big missed calls there at the end. Now, Tennessee had a chance to win it, came up short. It happens. But I thought, again, no moral victories, but goodness gracious, man. I thought Tennessee had a chance to win it. They played hard, and I thought Tennessee did such a great job of making this game ugly. Again, look at Auburn's one of the best offenses in the country. And look at it, man. Look at what Tennessee did to Auburn. I thought they did a great job in kind of bringing them down to a level to where Tennessee's comfortable playing in. Out the door, a couple of tweets I want to bring to your attention. This is from Jimmy Dykes. He tweeted this out Saturday. Ridiculous effort by both Auburn and Tennessee. May have just watched a preview of the national title game. Well, maybe getting a little ahead of yourself, but again, that's from a national perspective. John Rothstein, another national perspective right here. To win a national title, you have to be able to win in different ways. Auburn proved that it can win tonight in the mud. And Tennessee, ? Tougher than the gates of hell. Yes, 100%. So I don't think anybody, from a national level or from an average college basketball fan watched that game last night and said, oh man, Tennessee stinks. Tennessee stinks. No, Tennessee pushed Auburn, who everybody thinks is the best team in the country, to the absolute wire. It's a tough way to lose, man. And no time to sorrow. You come back, you host Kentucky at home. Kentucky's coming off a loss as well. Vanderbilt stormed the courts. Tennessee needs a win in the worst way. Some were calling the game against Mississippi State last Wednesday a must-win game. Might need to win this game for sure, if you're Tennessee, especially at home. So, tough way to lose. I thought Tennessee had chances, but at the end of the day, Tennessee does come up short, and I'm excited to see how Tennessee responds against the Kentucky Wildcats at home. All right, don't forget, tomorrow is your mailbag questions show, so send those in at _Caner, at Locked On Vols. Comment on the YouTube channel on this episode. Find me on Instagram. You can DM me. You can tweet me. Whatever the case is, get in your questions at _Caner, at Locked On Vols, and right here on the YouTube channel. Appreciate you guys, as always, for making this show what it is. We'll do it again, same time, same place tomorrow. This is Locked On Vols.